Good morning. Oh, it works. Hi, everyone. I just got the signal. I think that was to say we need to get started. Um, Anyone who can hear me outside in the hallway, we'd love you to join us, please. Thank you. Shane just left. She's abandoned us. Well, I think we may as well get started. And I really just wanted to thank you all for being here today and welcome you to the products and services session. This is our opportunity to showcase a little bit of what we have been doing over the last 6 months in particular, and what we're hoping to achieve in the next 6 months. My name is Carla Escada. I am the Senior Director for Registry. I have to think about that now because this is a new role for me too. And on the stage, I have some of my colleagues that are joining me here today, who are going to be presenting on various different topics. They're all smiling at the cartoon characters because I made them all look younger and made all the wrinkles disappear. So, but I want to introduce everyone. So starting off with Andre, who is the product manager for the membership product, and then moving on to Vivek. Vivek looks after the services team, so he's a very important person for all of you. I'm sure you've interacted with him a lot. Lily is going to be joining us online. Hi, Lily. I hope she's here. Unfortunately, she's not with us this conference, which is very unusual. And then Raphael, who prefers to be called Raf, because that's just easier, is going to be talking about information products today and sharing some details with us there. With him is moving to the bottom of the screen is Tom Harrison, who I always refer to as the king of the registry. So the registry, as you all know, is very central to everything that we do. And so Tom's going to be sharing a little bit about what's been happening there, something that you guys have all been waiting for. And then closing off the presentation today is going to be Chi Hu, who's not in the room yet because he's running from a meeting, but he will join us shortly, and he'll be here when it's ready for him to share his piece of information. So having done those intros, I wanted to start off today by just giving you a little bit of a snapshot of the strategy that we have spent months and months formulating over the last year, and have just stepped into now at the beginning of 2024. And just to give you an overview of where we're heading, and as usual, how we have tried to take everybody's feedback on board. So obviously, as you all know, structure follows strategy. And one of the things that we've done, which is why I had to present my new title, is that we've actually moved away a little bit from the old structure that had the registry and membership in two separate pillars. We are also representing the new structure very differently now. As you can see, it's split into the 4 areas: engagement, registry, development, and capability. But what we've done is we have actually started to introduce the rhetoric of the registry and the development as being value streams, as opposed to being pillars. And as you can see, engagement sits on top of both of those value streams as an enabler, and capability supports both of those value streams as we embark on what we need to do with what you guys have asked us to do. So what do we mean by a value stream? So a stream, as you all know, is fluid. So what we're trying to do is change the thinking so that there is an understanding more broadly that what we're trying to do is let the information flow from us to you, from you to us, so that there is a continual movement of information and sharing of what is going to help us to deliver value to you as a community. So just a very brief introduction of the various the strategic pillars. We still call them pillars as a collective term. The registry, as you know, principally allocates numbers. The development are very involved in growth and development throughout the region, and capability building is a very important part of what they're doing. Engagement, as you saw in the previous slide, kind of drives all of the value streams into the future, and really does actually create opportunities for the whole business moving forward. And capability, which is finance and HR and all of those really important things, underpins both of them. So moving on to the actual strategic approach for the registry, the basic purpose has remained the same. So what you're seeing in orange there is the business as usual, if we like, for the registry team. But on the other side, there is, in the white part on the screen, there is what we've termed most important goals. Now, I think everybody knows, anybody who's been involved in running a business and who's involved in participating and developing a business, that when you get caught up in BAU, you seldom have the opportunity to move forward with some really important things that will ultimately positively affect your BAU. So we came up with 3 most important goals that we are trying to really chase down over the next 4 years to make sure that that is going to increase the throughput of the work that we are doing. So the first one is to transform the registry services towards proactive, higher quality service. So this is something that we really rely on your feedback. We look for the kind of things that you're asking us to do. So in order for us to fulfill this goal, we would really appreciate you being involved there. As we go through today, you'll notice that Andre, Vivek, and Raf will all be referring to some things that we are doing and have been doing already to try and achieve this improvement in the quality of service. The other thing is to develop a framework to support authenticity and trust in registry data. This has always been very important to us, but we are making this a very specific goal over the next strategic period. And again, Vivek will be talking about that a little bit along with Tom as we move through. The last goal there, or let me just go back, sorry. The last goal there is the support of the NRO to provide and promote a joint internet number registry. So I'm going to let Chihu talk about development when he comes in a little bit later, so I'm not going to dwell on that. He's got some slides prepared on that. But just to, again, talk a little bit about engagement, because that is also a very important part of what the member services team do. And we've got a lot of cross-functional areas where we are involved in. So there we are looking to proactively engage at all relevant levels. So and also to improve feedback analysis and coordinate to ensure that APNIX remains responsive. This year is a survey year for us, so this is a very important opportunity for us to gather information from you. And so I would appreciate, if you are interested in participating in the survey, that you visit the Member Services Lounge after the session or at some stage during the next few days and set up an appointment, or be available to be involved in the written survey that will be coming later on in this year. So again, Vivek and Andre and Raf will be referring to some of the proactive engagement activities that we have planned for the next coming period. And Lily is going to be talking about what we do with feedback when it comes in from various different sources. So just a quick look at the various different touch points and areas where we do get feedback from the community. There's a lot. And you'll see that this slide is referred to again in Lily's presentation. But I would encourage you to just take a note of this, because there may be a prize at the end of this session for those of you that can identify several different areas where you have actually been involved in touching base and giving feedback to APNIC. The other thing I want to do is do a shameless spruik for our product showcase, which is happening today at 6 o'clock. Anybody who's interested in actually having an opportunity to get hands-on, we would really love you to join us. It's in this hall again. And we're going to be looking at the MyEPINIC products. We're going to look at Dash, RDAP, and also have a look at Orbit and see how you can interact with some of those products. As I've already mentioned, Brenda from Survey Matters is here at the conference, and she will be conducting some interviews. So if you're interested, again, just visit the services desk or services lounge, and they will set you up with an appointment. Finally, I just wanted to have a little moment here because as at the end of January, as you see here, we were just about to clock over onto 10,000 members. So this is a massive point of celebration for us. And I think we have done that already because, you know, as we close some members as they move on to different businesses and as we bring on new members, I think we probably have actually passed that milestone. So watch out for some information on the blog and some opportunities for you to celebrate with us. So before we move on, are there any questions about the structure or the strategy or anything that you'd like more information on before I hand over to Andre? Okay, let's see how you go until we reach the end of the session. Andre.
Thank you, Carla. Hi, everyone. My name's Andre Gelderblom. I'm the product manager for membership products. Today, I'd like to talk about some of the work that we've done, some of the work that we're currently still doing, and what's coming next. So what's some of the recent work that we've done? Last year, we sort of started this journey of looking at our account contacts. We identified some challenges with them, and mostly around identity and authentication. And we wanted to also look at ways to improve the security. So in order to do that, we had to rethink pretty much the entire data model for our account contacts. And that's quite a large piece of work that we had to undertake. So we've been doing a lot of that for over the year. We've sort of moved from a point of contact data model to a more user-centric data model. And we broke this down into 3 phases where the initial phase was to ensure that the user management side was incorporated into our ARMS, which is the backend for our services staff to be able to manage users properly. And then the second phase was about ensuring that the users could integrate well into the account management side of it. And this is also done in ARMS. So I won't be showing a lot of that to you guys. The piece I'd like to talk about today is what you'll actually see inside MyEPINIC. So this is moving from the point of contact version of MyEPINIC to a more user-centric version of MyEPINIC. And this is the bit that we will be releasing in the coming weeks to coming months. So what's going to actually change inside MyEPINIC for the account contacts is that all account contacts will have to have all account contacts will have to have an APINIC login. And what we'll be doing then is we'll be slowly retiring all the account contacts without an APINIC login. And so we've built the interface in a way that actually can facilitate this. One of the reasons we want to ensure that we do this is so that we can better implement two-factor authentication. At the moment, it's really difficult to do if you don't have an account contact that has an APINIC login. So some of the things that we've done to help ensure that the transition is as smooth as possible is you'll notice that the interface now has separate sections. So it's very clear which accounts have an APINIC login and which accounts don't have an APINIC login. And we've given you the tools to be able to resolve or to transfer or delete any accounts that don't have APINIC login. So what you can do now is you can use the bottom section to resolve certain accounts, and you can either delete them or transfer them to an authenticated account. Transferring them is automatic now. So if you do an invite, what it'll do is it'll automatically send out an email to the person to allow them to get an APINIC login and then also attach them to that account. It's built into the 2 steps at the moment. Also, there's a lot of duplicate accounts because from a point of contact database that was allowed, but we're removing that ability now. So we've created tools to allow for management of duplicate accounts. So you can either merge them or delete them. So this change is going to impact members. There's a lot of stuff that you guys have probably been used to doing that some of it will be removed, some of it will be changed. So one is that obviously you cannot have an account contact anymore that does not have an APNIC login. So it's a big difference, because at the moment you can have account contacts without APNIC logins. So going forward, this will be eliminated. Also, managing of the contacts, the actual personal information, we've removed that ability. So corporate contacts won't be able to manage the personal information of the users of that account. They will now need to contact the actual owner of that user, that login information, for them to be able to edit that information. And also we won't allow duplicate email addresses anymore. So every email will be a single email address for everyone. So for a transition period, there'll always be the unauthenticated contacts where there'll be plenty of duplicates. But once we have transitioned fully, everything will be a single email address. So some of the benefits to the system is, well, one of them is it's confusing. We've had potential attempts at hijacking the accounts because of this confusion, and we want to ensure that we eliminate that possibility from now on. And so one of the benefits now is that there's no more confusion between what an APNIC login account is and what an unauthenticated account is. It's very clear. There will only be one, and that's APNIC login. We'll improve the authentication and identification so we can attach unique IDs in a much clearer manner, and we can integrate across systems much more seamlessly than we could with a point of contact database. And we can now verify using two-factor instead of just using an email address, which is one of the ways that we do currently because of the point of contact data model. Let's see. So what other work have we been working on in the last couple of months? In Orbit, what we've done is we've created a WYSIWYG editor. So Orbit previously just had a simple text box input field, and you could send email addresses, you could post messages, etc. But there was no rich text formatting. There was no attachments. There was no images. So we've created a WYSIWYG editor now where there's a lot more rich text formatting available to you. And we believe this will encourage more engagement and more activity and make the whole of Orbit a little bit more vibrant, a bit more exciting. So hopefully there's a bit more engagement because of this. Another thing on Orbit is, because we've allowed images now, what we did by default is make the images blurred, just in case somebody posts an offensive image and it's not straight away right in front of you. You have the opportunity to unblur images in the top right-hand corner. So the next thing we'll probably be doing is adding in a report feature. At the moment, there's no reporting feature. You'd have to email the admin at this time, but we'll be adding in reporting. So if there is any inappropriate stuff, it's easy to report it. We've been doing lots of other work. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'd just like to highlight a couple of process improvements that we've done. One of them is the fee calculator. You'll notice that it's now multi-year, so it's a lot easier for you to see what the fee changes are, if there are any, over a period of time. And another one that we're quite excited about, which is internally, is we've revamped our entire account closure workflow. And there was a lot of manual intervention here, especially when it came to deallocation of resources. So we've managed to speed that process up quite significantly, saving a lot of time and money for our members. We've managed to speed it up by at least 30%, which is quite exciting for ourselves. Yeah, I won't go through everything else, but we have a BOF later on. I'm happy to expand on any of these if anyone wants to know more about them. So what's next? In the next couple of months, what we're looking at is introducing authenticated chat. At one stage, we did have it, but it was removed for security reasons, and we're reintroducing it. There's a new sort of software that we want to use that allows us to incorporate authenticated chat not only inside MyAPNIC but throughout APNIC, and we want to take advantage of that. So it allows you to open up the chat and log in through the chat client itself, which is something reasonably new. So we want to start incorporating that over the next couple of months, and also obviously it'll be inside MyAPNIC, and this will help improve the interaction with our members, specifically around sensitive information, and we'll be able to do a much faster resolution of queries. Another thing we're doing, and this is quite a large piece of work, and this fits into the transform registry towards a proactive, high-quality service is at the moment we have a support system which is really just ticket-based. And the ticket-based support system works fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But what we want to do is transition more to a more proactive support base. So at the moment, if you get a ticket, we react to it, we solve it, we deal with it. But what we would like to be able to do is incorporate that more into a CRM system and have a bit more proactivity, be able to have more of a 360 view of the potential problems and the history of the problems. And the system we have at the moment, although it gives you that, the system we want to move to gives you a much more holistic view. And we believe that this will be able to encourage us to be a little bit more proactive in our support and reach out maybe before things have even happened. So this is quite a large task because it's our current system is quite integrated. So this will happen over a couple of months, probably towards the end of the year. Hopefully we'll have this done. In MyEpiNIC, you can look forward to a feature where you can download your membership agreements or your resource allocation letters. So at the moment, if you need those, you've got to send an email to us. It takes a while for us to generate and create them, and there's a lot of back and forth. So what we want to do is we want to automate that process and allow you guys to be able to go somewhere and download these documents that you need. And we'll probably create some sort of central repository for these and just keep adding to adding different administrative documents that you might like and need over time. Will sort of go into the space. And then finally, we're doing quite a lot of work on improving our APNIC login. So because we're moving to and enforcing APNIC login for everyone, and because we want to enforce two-factor authentication for account contacts, we do need to make sure the user experience around that is as good as possible. And multi-factor is always a pain. So at the moment, we can do multi-factor and we can do it well, but there are improvements and better ways to do it. And we want to give a whole bunch of options when it comes to multi-factor, not just force someone down one road. So we need to upgrade our APNIC login, which we're currently doing at the moment, in order to do that and make especially the multi-factor a lot more seamless. So that's pretty much it from me. If you want to stay informed with some of the stuff that we're doing, please visit our roadmap. You'll notice that it has any information that you want to see about the products and the services that we're currently building will be in progress, and then you'll be able to see what's coming up next in the next. It's also got year tabs at the top, so you can go through each year, and there's a filter at the top too, so you can filter by the different products and services. And that's it from me. Thank you very much. Any questions? Sorry. Cool. I'll hand over to Vivek.
Okay, thank you, Andre, and good morning to all of you. Recently, we've done some work to improve the accuracy of the registry data. So in this presentation, I want to share some of the details of the improvements we have made and how this benefits our members. So improving registry data accuracy is one of our most important goals of our strategic plan. So I'd like to start off by explaining why is data accuracy important and the reason we do all this work around accuracy. So the APNIC WHOIS database serves two functions. It serves as a public network management database. So this is the part which has administrative information like which IPs we've given to which organizations. And it also serves as a routing registry. And while the WHOIS is a very old protocol and a very simple protocol, it is still a very popular protocol. So in average, the APNIC WHOIS is serving over 1,000 queries each second. So you may be wondering who is consuming all this data and what are they using it for? Well, the WHOIS data is used by different stakeholders for different reasons. Network operators would use this for filtering automations, similar operational reasons. CERT use it to report security incidents. Researchers use it to publish research papers, which are often used to support policy changes, and so on. So to answer my question, registry data accuracy is important because If this data is not important, people will simply stop using it, or they might start using other sources which are not authoritative for this information. So I'll share some examples of this later, but first let's have a look at some of the work we have done to improve the data accuracy. So historical resources are IPs that were distributed prior to the establishment of APNIC. And so a lot of these resources have not been updated for many decades now, so the quality of their registration is not so good. This is an example of what a historical resource registration looked like. In the description attribute, it gives an indication of who the custodian is, but it does not clearly show which organization is the holder of this resource. Likewise, the contact details associated with these IPs have not been updated since 1996, and they no longer function. So a few years ago, the APNIC EC passed a resolution that required all historical resource holders to claim their resource under an account so we could update their registration, failing which we would remove those resource registration from the WHOIS database. And as a result of this, we were able to help this custodian claim their resource. So now their registration is updated and you can clearly see which organization holds the resource, their contact details are up to date, and so on. So when we started this project, we had over 3,000 such cases to follow up. And as we worked on these cases through the years, we were able to assist over 900 such custodians claim their resource, so their registration is now updated. So next, we have AS number registration. So APNIC members can get portable AS numbers for your own infrastructure, and you can also get non-portable AS numbers for the customers that you provide connectivity to. And some feedback we have received is that it can be hard to distinguish between these portable and non-portable AS numbers. So some members have received multiple ASNs from APNIC, and over time, due to staff turnover, lack of documentation, they have lost track of which ASNs are for their own infrastructure and which ones are for their customer. So this is an example of what an old customer ASN registration looked like. And on the left, you can see this was a customer ASN delegated to a university in Thailand. But then this is the only information that's available about this customer. The organization object has the details of the member who requested for this ASN, all the contact details point to that member, not the customer, and so on. So to address this limitation, we have now implemented this new concept of customer org objects. So when you apply for customer ASNs from APNIC now, we will ask you to provide all the relevant details so we can create these customer objects on your behalf and then associate it with your customer ASNs. So this is an example of what a new customer ASN looks like now. So on the left, you can see this is a customer ASN for a bank in Thailand. And now there are two organization objects associated with this ASN. So this makes it very clear that this is a non-portable customer ASN. The first org object has all the details of the customer, including their contact details. And the second org object, which is the sponsoring org object, has the details of the member who has requested for this ASN. So if some of you have received multiple customer ASNs from us in the past, we encourage you to create these customer org objects and associate it with your ASNs. So this way you will help us improve the accuracy of the ASN registration. And the last topic I want to talk about is IP geolocation. So fixing IP geolocation has been an ongoing challenge many members continue to experience. So typically an organization, say from Thailand, would become an APNIC member and get some IPs from us. And when they start using those IPs, some content providers would incorrectly geolocate them to different locations. So when that happens, their customers start complaining and they reach out to APNIC and ask us to help fix this type of geolocation problem. So based on our observation, there is some confusion about what registry data is used for this geolocation purpose. Is it that two-letter ISO code that you see in the stats file? Is it the country attribute that is in the WHOIS database? Is it some other information? So when members have this geolocation problem, often they ask us to update this location information everywhere, and this does not really help fix their problem. So for records maintained by APNIC, we record the economy where the member organization is registered. So in this example, in the country attribute, it says Thailand to indicate this member is registered in Thailand, not where they're using these IP addresses. And this same information is published in a stats file. So the two-letter ISO code here is not meant to indicate where they're using these IPs. It's meant to indicate where the member is registered and physically located. So to help you fix your IP geolocation problems, we have now introduced the geofeed attribute in WHOIS that you can use to specify the locations where you're using your IPs. So this way you don't have to change all the other data. And if you go to this website, you can see all the different geolocation providers who are consuming this geofeed file and also how frequently they're updating these records. So next time you run into geolocation problems, give geofeed a try because there's a good chance this is what will fix your IP geolocation problem. That's it from me. Any questions?
Okay, Kenny Huang, Chair of APNIC Executive Council and Chair of TMNIC. Can you go back to one slide more? Oh, yes. Because geofeed actually was IETF RFC standard, so I'm not sure how many operators really provide that kind of input to geofeed. I think that kind of information is critical to a lot of operators because many users or many operators, when you have cybercrime or you have any cybercriminal issue, basically the first step in looking at the WHOIS database. The second step, they need to find it out where will be the geolocation. So that kind of information is critical for them. So I try to encourage any operator, if you're willing to fit the geo information into the database, that would be make it very useful, especially provided by APNIC. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's another presentation about this tomorrow from Massimo from NTT. So if you want more details, please join that session. Oh, next. All right, thank you for listening.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, Lily is going to be joining us remotely. So do we have Lily ready to go?
Hi, Carla. I'm ready.
Hey, okay, we're going to drive the slides from here, Lily. So, oh, there we is. There she is. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to hand Andres going to go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lily. Usually I would be presenting in person, but this time I am in Brisbane presenting from the office remotely. Today I will be taking you through feedback at APNIC. We go to the next slide. If you remember, Carla showed this slide earlier in the beginning of the session. This is just a quick visualization of all the touch points that are there among APNIC's products and services. And feedback is collected through so many different channels managed by various different teams. It is a lot, and we take all of this raw data and process them to make sense of what to do next. Next slide. So how exactly do we process our feedback? This is just a fancy flow chart to say, first, we review all of the comments from everywhere, and then we identify which ones to look into that sort of involves further investigation. And then we conduct meetings. We go to the relevant teams working on different features to figure out where they could go, who can work on them, and where in the prioritization matrix they may fit into. Next slide. So depending on the severity, the urgency, and the volume, as well as the effort for a certain piece of work, there are a number of different ways or different timelines that things could get done at. So if it's very, very urgent, super severe, we get a high volume of a certain type of feedback and the effort is relatively low or medium, then it's usually considered a quick win. We'll get through it right away. We'll design, implement the solution, and then monitor the outcomes. However, in most cases, it's usually a mix between probably less urgency, moderate severity, low volume, and maybe high effort, in which case it becomes a little bit more complicated. The product manager will add this work into the backlog. We will check against any existing work that potentially overlaps with it, or is there any promised work that's already been planned? Then it goes into further planning, prioritization, and then it makes into our agile process. And of course, eventually we will get to implementing the solution and designing it. And then we will continue to monitor how it does and iteratively make changes and improvements to that feature. Next slide. So in terms of all the feedback that we received in 2023, 100% of all 3,856 items were reviewed, categorized, and about a quarter of these were identified as actionable. So as you can see, we do get a lot of feedback, but a lot of them can be sort of generic comments like, oh, that was nice, or that was good. Which is great. We love receiving these types of comments and feedback. But what we would love even more is something that are, very specific about something that you struggled with specifically, or proposed new feature that you will feel be useful to many other people. And so all of these things are noted down, and we specifically highlight the actionable items out of those. Next slide. So in terms of areas of feedback, 74% of all the actionable items were related to training. Now, this has a lot to do with just the sheer volume of training surveys that we conduct. So obviously we ask for it more and we get more. But it's important to not only look at the volume, there are lots of very, very valuable actions and feedback that were identified in other areas, such as academy, such as fellowship, MyPNIC, the conference, etc. And we really want to hear from other areas outside of training, specifically from the 10,000 members that we do have, when it comes to high value items that will really benefit the services that we provide. We really want to see what those ideas might be. Next slide. So we can see here, out of all the training related feedback, we categorize them into themes, and we also tally up how many of each we've got. Next slide. And these are some of the key actions. So after reviewing all of these training feedback items, we can see that the training team has taken steps to review all of the different courses we have now and making changes to the content, specifically because we had a lot of comments related to the training content, the labs improvements, the approach for the presentations, the length of sessions, etc. And so we get these actions out of the feedback that we get from the training participants. And then the additional actions also include ongoing training of trainers, upskilling them, and especially putting emphasis on community trainers and local support on the ground. Also because we serve so many different economies and languages, that is a key part for our training improvements. But of course, there's lots of other actions happening outside of training in other areas. And if you're interested, you can go to the blog to learn about these additional improvements. And next, I'll be taking you through a specific case study that's not related to training, and that is contact management. Next slide, please. So with contact management, as Andre has mentioned before, this will be a major update coming out of MyPNIC. And in December, we had ran a prototype test, which was sent to everyone subscribed to the user feedback group on the mailing list /Orbit. And so from there, we got a lot of participants who ran through our prototype and gave us feedback. Next slide, please. So one of the questions I asked in the very beginning of this prototype study was, have you used managed contacts in MyPicnic before? And roughly a third haven't. And so from this, we could see some people might be looking at this for the very first time. And that was also very helpful because it goes to show if the interface would really be understood by someone who's not familiar with contact management. So that gave us a bit of a challenge, but it was also a good test for whether this is going to work. Next slide, please. And out of all the participants, we've got a little bit over a half who were corporate and or technical contacts. We also have billing contacts, and also 14% were not a contact of any kind. And then next slide, please. What I collect in terms of actual data is all anonymous, but I do get to see what are the paths to the destination that I have designated as successful for the completion of a certain task. So for example, the task could be remove the duplicate contacts on this page. And then I can see where people have clicked to reach that destination. And there's always more than one path to the same destination. There's really no right and wrong when it comes to these prototype user research activities. So I just want to say to everyone out there who's, afraid of being tracked or, having their names identified, that's not identifiable. All of these clicks are tracked with just purely screenshots, percentages, clicks, and none of the personal information gets retained. Next slide. And then we get comments for short answer responses. So when we put forward the terminology of unauthenticated contacts, just those two words actually took us so long to decide on, because English sometimes can be a very ambiguous language. There's also other words we considered, like legacy contacts, historical contacts, old contacts, grandfathered contacts. And what we landed on was authenticated and unauthenticated, because they were quite binary, and opposites of each other. And we felt that that was the most clear way to communicate the idea behind someone with or without a login. And we really wanted to see if people did understand it in that manner or even in a similar manner. And so this was a test rather in comprehension and in how clear we're communicating to the community. And from these answers, we could see, yeah, most people got the right idea or were on the right track. And so we can be confident in putting this through to the interface. Next slide, please. And here are just some further answers. If they were really, really far off, that, people just completely misunderstood the entire thing, we would definitely change the terminology and the labeling on that one. And that's just an indication of your opinion really matters. So the more answers we get from more people, the better it will help with the clarity of our UI. Next slide, please. So questions like this also really help. When we're asking for additional feedback, it doesn't always have to be a comment or something that you believe is helpful. It could also be what you're confused about. It could also be what else is there. It could also be why does this work in a way like this? And that gives us clues to where we can further explain or what kind of help articles we could add to the Help Center to help facilitate knowledge in this particular area. And next slide, please. And yeah, those are just some more answers. Next slide. So there are three main modes where we collect feedback overall at APNIC. The first one is always on. And this feedback form channel is always open to everyone and anyone. You can easily get to this page from the footer on our website. And it's basically just a simple form that allows you to submit general comments, bugs, feature suggestions, anything that's on your mind. And it helps the APNIC teams to identify issues and opportunities for improvement and what to put into our backlog. Next slide, please. And the second one is project-based. So this one is something that's similar to what I just showed you in contact management. They're usually specific user research projects that solves a particular problem. And we want to work out potential solutions for this. And so if you're interested in participating, please join the user feedback group on Orbit. We will post any new and upcoming activities on there. Usually there is a prize draw or some kind of a gift card that you might be able to win if you participate. So yeah, it's and we actually don't have massive numbers, so you have like a good chance at getting a prize. Right now at the conference, my colleague Ken is at the Services Lounge conducting interviews for APNIC Academy. So if you are an Academy user, if you're interested in training courses on the APNIC Academy platform, please go and speak with her, and she will love to share and hear from you. Next slide, please. And then finally, we have the APNIC survey. So APNIC gathers the opinions and the views of members and stakeholders through a survey every 2 years. This is sort of our biggest survey activity. And so we're asking for people to let us know if you have any type of opinion throughout all of the different products and services that we provide. And the questions can be quite detailed. It also gets translated into a number of different languages. So right now at the conference, we've also got Survey Matters running interviews and focus groups, which you can definitely book in to participate in. And it really is a key contributor to APNIC's future planning from a strategic perspective. So yeah, we would definitely love the more the merrier to participate in this survey and give us feedback. And with that, that brings me to the end. Do we have any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you. The main thing I have to talk about today is the registry API beta production release. Those don't look quite like they did on my version. And for work coming up later in the year, we've got quite a bit of maintenance work, platform updates, things like that to do. But as far as user-facing work goes, the main thing is RPKI-signed checklists, which will be happening in Q2 of this year. Okay, so the registry API, we've had various discussions about this in the past, but to recap briefly, this is about supporting scripting and automation of registry operations that happen via MyAPNIC. So WHOIS updates, reverse DNS updates, and route management operations. This work relates to the MIGs, which were discussed by Carla earlier in a couple of different ways. One is that they help to increase service transaction automation. That's really largely the point of it. But it's also really a mechanism to support data integrity, because instead of having this double handling with people having their own systems and then having to make updates in MyAPNIC, those two updates can happen sort of by way of the same channel. So the chance of errors with the updates happening in MyAPNIC goes away. And also it just increases the chance that the updates will happen at all, because people might forget to make updates in MyAPNIC, but if those updates happen automatically because they have integration with an IPAM or similar, then that helps with getting that data to us. So we did a testbed release of the API in early 2022. And that was operating against a completely separate, isolated test environment, so it had no effect on production. This beta release, by contrast, works against production systems. So changes that happen via this beta will take effect in production, be visible in MyAPNIC, and etc. There are a few differences between the testbed and the beta. One is that the testbed had this idea of route management operations, which mapped to route management operations in MyAPNIC, as well as separate rower management endpoints for managing rowers more directly. But when we went to add those rower management endpoints in production, it would have required quite extensive changes to our backend. And it really kind of dwarfed the rest of the project as far as complexity and so on was concerned. So because route management itself can be used to make whatever changes people want to rowers, we've run with just having the route management endpoints for now. And we'll see how that goes in production. If people really need rower management endpoints, then we'll reconsider that later. The testbed didn't have support for update operations for route management and reverse DNS. Those are available in the beta. The testbed also didn't have support for providing DS record data for reverse DNS records, and the beta has that. So it's possible to get that whole chain of trusts going in reverse DNS for your records. And finally, we have this pre-validation functionality in production, and that happened after the testbed was released. So we've added an endpoint for that in the beta as well. So basically you prepare a set of updates that would happen via route management. You then send them to the pre-validation endpoint, and it will tell you if there are going to be any problems in BGP as a result. So as far as next steps go here, we are in touch with a couple of people for beta testing, but we'll be contacting more people, mainly those who signed up for the testbed, to see if they're interested in using this in a beta capacity. If you're here this week and would like to try it out, then please let us know. You can talk to us after the session or go to the Member Services Lounge, or there'll be ways to get in touch, and we can sit down and go through it with you and test things out. We've had some early feedback that an end-to-end test environment that mirrored this beta would be useful, in particular having a separate RPKI trust anchor, so that it's possible to make changes in that test environment and see the effect that they would have on routing in production. So we'll be looking at that alongside this continued beta testing. And finally, once we have enough confidence in the system, shaking out any problems and etc., then we'll organize a general availability release, and then anybody can register for access to the API via MyAPNIC. As far as other work goes, we have RPKI assigned checklists, again, Q2 of this year. This has also been covered in previous meetings, but in short, it's about being able to make arbitrary statements that are verifiable in RPKI. So that's useful for things like bring your own IP, which currently relies on fairly ad hoc processes around generating your own certificate and so on. And apart from the registry API work previously mentioned, we'll be doing some further consolidation on top of that, attempting to centralize member operations on the API where possible, and that will help with transparency and audit and so on. And we also did some work last year on deprecating password authorization in WHOIS in favor of single sign-on authorization. We held off on releasing that until we have the API out, because some people today rely on email updates, and having to switch those over to token-based email updates is not the greatest upgrade path. But if we have the API out, then that's a much easier upgrade path for people who can use that. So once the API is generally available, we'll look at getting those WHOIS authorization changes out. And that's all. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Tom. My name is Rafael. I'll be sharing what the information team has been working and some upcoming working as well. So let's start with a question. How many of you have heard about Dash? Please raise your hand. Okay, and how many of you use or have used Dash? That's pretty good. Thank you. Okay, so for those not familiar with Dash, Dash is a service APNIC provides for APNIC members to monitor network health. So it allows members to track and be alerted about routing issues and suspicious traffic coming from their network. 2 weeks ago, we released in MyAPNIC the Dash widget. So this allows APNIC members log into MyAPNIC to have a quick glance at any route issues or suspicious traffic coming from their network. And if they have created alerts, they will also see the status of the alerts. So if the alerts are firing, they will be able to see it as well. So as I said, we released this 2 weeks ago. And since then, more than 100 alerts have been created in Dash. So we are very pleased that this widget is allowing our members to discover and use Dash. In response to some feedback that we received in the last 2 meetings, we have also implemented 2 new options for members receiving notifications. We implemented WhatsApp and webhooks. This is in addition to the existing channels, email, SMS, and Slack. We have also made other improvements to Dash. Among them, we have a new overview page, and we have also made improvements to the backend to, we had previously a restriction on the number of routes big networks could track. So with these improvements, this restriction was removed. Now moving to Rex. For those not familiar with Rex, it's APNIC's Resource Explorer. So it's a public service that APNIC provides to the whole internet community. It's available at rex.apnic.net. And it provides measurements, statistics, and delegation data, not only for the APNIC region, but for the whole world, and not only data from APNIC, but for all the registries as well. So we recently added RPKI ROA coverage and DNSSEC validation stats in Rex, all this data coming from APNIC Labs. And we have also added the option to see delegation stats per RAR, as you can see in the screen. Now, some upcoming work. So starting with Dash, we have 2 improvements to the suspicious traffic feature. The first one is access to non-ASN holders. So the way the suspicious traffic feature was designed was really ASN centric. So right now, only ASN holders can see this data. So we want to open this information for prefix holders as well. So we'll be making modifications to the backend for this to happen. Also, we will be improving our data, the HoneyNet heat data that we provide for members, because right now the aggregations that we do don't allow them to completely investigate some of the cases. So in most of the cases, they also require data, like for example, timestamps, and right now it's not available. So we'll also be doing these improvements. For routing status, right now Dash uses the BGP collector from RIPE in Singapore. And what that means is that if there is any incident happening in other regions that is not visible by this collector, Dash can't see it as well. So we'll be adding new BGP sources for Dash so we can improve the coverage of Dash in BGP terms. And for Rex, last meeting, we released the RAR filter. So basically, you can go to Rex and you can filter by the data by RAR. You can see only APNIC data, or you can see only RIPE data. And as soon as we release this, we receive lots of requests to also allow filtering by NIR. So we'll also be implementing this. That's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
That's a lot. So I'm going to invite Chihu to join us on stage now. But as he walks up, before we move on to the section about development, is there any comments, any questions? I would very much encourage those of you who haven't tried Dash to give it a go. It's an amazing product. We've had some really solid feedback about Dash when we've actually been at events and shown the power of what the product can do. Again, shameless plug for the BOF that's coming up a little bit later. So if you're wanting to give it a go or figure out what it's about, then please join us for the BOF. Paul, thank you.
Sorry, Paul again from APNIC. Thanks very much for the presentation so far, but particularly about Dash. I just wanted to mention one of the motivations I think in the way Dash has been developed is to create more of a practical tool for operators rather than just what might otherwise be seen as like a research tool or something for curious people to do a bit of browsing around the routing system, for instance. And so the alerts the alerts from the HoneyNet system seem to be pretty important in that the HoneyNet is operating all the time. If my network is detected by the HoneyNet as the originator of attack traffic, then I get notified about that. I don't have to go back to Dash every day and sort of see if my network is turned up on the HoneyNet or back to that HoneyNet system. So I think in the interest of doing more of that, I think it would be really nice for APNIC to understand if there are other useful sources of alerts that could actually come back into Dash for the benefit of APNIC members. So this is really a question for the audience as to what interesting sources of data or notifications you use, and whether or not we could actually help by bringing together on Dash and creating more of a central point of kind of notification of health and or lack of health in the networks that are being operated. So that's really a question for the audience here, and a bit of sort of comment about the real purpose and power, hopefully the power of this set of tools. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And also, we would love to hear your feedback. We have the BOF, as Carla mentioned, and we will be around the whole week. So we'd love to hear from you if you have any feedback for any of our services. Thank you.
Hi, Aftab Siddiqui speaking for Aftab Siddiqui. One thing, sorry, I had to be on the other session, but I was watching the API presentation online. One thing is, yes, thank you so much for still giving us the beta version after 2.5 years, but still a step in the right direction. One question I have for any services or product coming up is this was requested last year as well. As member, I would like to see there should be a platform where I can request services, and for other members where they can go and say, okay, fine, that sounds like a good request. I want to upvote it, right? And then you can. I'm a big user of Rex and Dash. I love it, but there are so many other services I would like to see. But it's when I talk to these amazing people sitting in front of me and they get it. But of course, there's a priority from the organization. But if members ask for it, I'm pretty sure everything else get in the line. So there should be a way where members can say, this is what I want. Nothing fancy, just a small issue tracker or maybe request tracker where people can upvote within the MyAPNIC or general as well, because a lot of tools are for the community, not just for the members as well, but members come first. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm jumping in front here, Chihu. Thank you, Aftab. And one of the things that we haven't mentioned yet, because we still are thinking about how we want to do it, is that we are going to be looking at the possibility of making the roadmap interactive. So, so there's lots of opportunities for us to gather feedback, but once it actually gets into production, it would be really helpful to get some comments from the community. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about more along the lines of actually getting the feedback in the first place?
Sorry, just want to clarify. I'm going to quote Randy from yesterday. I can't quote verbatim, but you need to understand roadmaps are made by the organization.
Yes.
You have to make them roadmap on the basis of what members are asking.
Yeah.
It should be other way around. I have absolutely no problem what roadmaps APNIC is making.
Yes.
But it has to have an element. It has to have an element of what members are asking.
Yes.
Or the community is asking. So if you create a roadmap which does not include all the requests came from the member side or the community side, that's in conflict. So that's my thing. Right now there is no option. Once the roadmap is set, I can comment on it.
Right. So I think that the whole session, I'm sorry you missed it, but I think the whole session was really very focused on feedback and how we gather that feedback and how it actually gets into the opportunity backlog. And we really, really want your feedback. That's really the message that I keep saying. And I think that everybody's said consistently is that it's super important.
Where is the question?
Where do you provide feedback?
Yes.
Either
and
through the
how
survey,
other members I think
online.
I think my request is lost in translation. I'll set my case here. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
can try and answer that if you don't mind,
Yeah.
Carla. AFTAB, I understand what you're saying. You're basically looking for an ideas portal. So the ideas come in, the ideas are visible to everybody. People can vote them up and down. I've seen plenty of other, mostly startups do that kind of stuff. And yes, we are actually investigating different portals. We do need to understand how we manage those comments, how we manage the feedback. So we are looking at it at the moment, and we do hear you 100%. We don't have any plans yet to roll anything specific out. The current roadmap facilitates that, and you'll notice that if you go to it's a new one. It has voting, but we've turned all that off at the moment. We do need to understand the governance before we implement something like that. But we have heard you, and it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Can I just jump in here and ask AFTAB whether it would be simply useful to have a mailing list in an orbit group for individual products or for product groups where you could join that list and make a comment and have other people respond as to whether or not it's useful, have a dialogue with APNIC product managers and product team and so on. Would that be a useful possibility? Because honestly, that would be like I guess a 10-minute fix.
just so can everybody hear. Yes, but why not just use a GitHub repo? It has all the functions available in it already, right? So you can just use a GitHub. APNIC has a GitHub account as well. So they can create a simple repo for certain things. And then people can open requests or create issues. So yeah, I don't mind mailing list, but a GitHub repo would be as good as anything else. So those who are interested always are on GitHub, but mailing list can help as well.
Thanks, AFTAB. Liam.
Hi, Liam Stevens, Telstra. Just some positive feedback about the tool. I've just jumped in now and found one of our customers has an incorrect ROA. So I'm going to go and sit back down and call them before there's any problems. So nice, easy tool. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone. This is great. So thanks, Chihu, for your patience. I'm going to hand on to Chihu.
Thank you. My name is Chiu Chang. I'm the Senior Director of Development. Today, I would like to provide some training and development updates. And of course, my focus is more like products and services. And for feedbacks, as an interim solution, before we have like more structured way to do it. You can send your requests or comments or whatever to academy@apnic.net or training@apnic.net. It's very easy for, of course, any feedbacks, comments related to training and development. But anyway, let me start my parts. This are our vision and mission. As you may know, we have a new strategic plan starting from this year, and it lasts for 4 years. And we have not changed our vision and mission. As you can see from here, on the mission side, we actually have 2 main parts. One is the registry part, and another is development part. And I am going to talk more about the development part. Before I, provide more details about the new strategic plan, let's look back to the last 4 years to see what we have done and what were the major updates. For our training, now we use the APNIC Academy as the branding for all of our training activities. And it covers not just face-to-face, but also online, not just instructor-led, but also self-paced learning. And of course, we still have not really completed the change, but that's the direction. And also, now we have a single APNIC Academy platform for all the functions related to training activities. And that's, the only platform that you can need to go to access the training related resources. And of course, our aim is to have very, very good integration. And as you can see, over the last few years, we have moved the event registration, past event information, training wiki, or even technical assistance requests, et cetera, into that single platform, academy.apnic.net. So it should be very, very convenient for people to check the training related information. And too bad we all know that during COVID, we could not do face-to-face training. And so in 2020 to 2021, we did only online training and technical assistance. But to me, it's not really a bad thing because it actually forced us to do better online. And also with this online platform, we can reach more people. And in the meantime, we add an update, the self-paced learning and also the virtual labs, et cetera, so more people can be benefited. Now we have gone back to face-to-face mode. And of course, we have done a lot of face-to-face training already after COVID, starting 2022, but we still continue to do online training. Online instructor-led training because it helps us to reach more people. So yes, this is what we have been doing. And luckily, we have more funding. As you may know, our membership income is limited. We can only do as much using the funding, but the demand is always higher than supply. We lucky to have more funding through foundation and the trust starting from 2021, and that would mean we can do more than before. And we have also seen good progress overall on IPv6 and RPKI deployment, especially RPKI deployment. As you may know, we actually have quite a lot of community trainers to help out with that. And so we actually witnessed almost 100% ROA implementation in certain economies, which is of course very good news. And we also see some steady improvement on the IPv6 side. And as for the community support, one of our focuses would be to support NOGS and of course, other security related event or a peering forum, et cetera. We not just provide help and support to create new NOGS, et cetera. We also, help support maintaining the existing ones, and sometimes we would help revive the old ones, because, you know, it's actually a bit difficult for like Knox community to, you know, maintain their the activities, you know, when there may be personnel changes or maybe, you know, other like change of commitment or whatever. And we do provide this kind of help to revive the old ones. But our focus is to, you know, help build the local community. We would not do things for them continuously. And we hope the local community can, like, you know, have people to, you know, continue to do the work. We just provide help and support. And we not just provide sponsorship and training, we also provide other kind of support, like Zoom account during like COVID time, or Kahoot account, or even like suggestion of speakers participating in the program committee, etc., etc. That's what we do, and it proves to be quite successful, I should say. And we also do a lot of IXP development work, and we have strengthened our package. Of course, we do it together with our training and technical assistants. And now Foundation has taken up more the equipment funding support side, you know, thanks to them. And we also try to leverage the En-ROADS deployment. You know, when we do En-ROADS deployment, we also, you know, see whether there's improvement on the IXP side. When we do IXP development, we also try to include En-ROADS in the package, etc., etc. And we, in the last 4 years, we engaged with the research and education community more, leveraging like ArenaPack, like API, AIII, Soy Asia, which is actually you know, under the support of the trust. And we also support the training to the LEA public safety community more over the last few years. And for Community HoneyNet, is evolved as a special service. We don't really make it a public service, but it's actually providing like a lot of like information data to, you know, different you know, services, include Dash. Okay, that's a summary of you know, what we did in the 4 years. Let's look into the coming 4 years. And this I think Carla has shown this. I want to stress that like this aligns with our mission totally. So we have registry and development as the value streams, and also capability and engagement as enablers. The enablers provide the support and coordination. And I also want to highlight that like they also help us to make sure that there's consistency, there's like collaboration across. We would not do things alone. We'll work, you know, together very, very closely. As you can see over here, there's like high-level strategy for each and every one. And of course, I will only focus on the development part because I think Carla has addressed, you know, the other parts already. You can see here, for the purpose, of course, our focus is to assist in sustainable development and growth of internet in the region. And one of the most important part would be, of course, training and technical assistance. We help capacity building. We help build the capacity for not just human, but also community. You know, because we want, you know, the community to, you know, grow together. And, you know, we wouldn't, you know, want to like do hand-holding continuous all the time because we only have limited resources. And if the community has like grown, then they should be able to support each other by themselves. That's our goal. It would be more scalable, I should say. And also, you know, we from APNIC side, since we need more funding, we also, you know, assist Foundation to do the fundraising. And then, of course, with the additional fund, we can, you know, do more capacity building work. And we also would, you know, include a research part for, you know, helping with the community. And for the new strategic plan, we have like most important goals. I must stress that these most important goals are not one-off, for 4 years. And we have some rough idea already, but like in the coming months, we will have like plan to, lay down the more concrete plan for the coming 4 years. And the first most important goal, I would use 3 words to summarize it: beyond direct delivery, meaning that we would not just do direct delivery all by ourselves. We actually will try to do more than that. We would see whether others can do it with our help and support. One of the most important components would be the training content. With like our training content, and of course we want to make it open source, so that like others, if they have their trainers, they can make use of our training content to train their people without much of our help. But of course, we would help do train the trainers, so that those people can be well trained before they do their training. That's one part, and the target is of course to increase the adoption of the best practices. And we also would look at the possibility of provide like certification. We, of course, don't want to compete with the certification provided by the vendors. We want to complement that. And also, of course, we want to see whether there are needs, this kind of needs from especially the developing countries' economies, because they probably cannot afford to pay like the vendor certification. We will look into that as well. And we also would like to do more partnership. Certainly, for a lot of work, especially like content development, we cannot do everything from scratch by ourselves. So we would look at like the other partners which actually have similar ideas, and they also adopt the open source approach, and then we make use of their content and further develop on to fit the requirements of our community. So we look at the partnership very, very closely as well. The second most important goal would be cybersecurity. Of course, cybersecurity is very wide, and we will look into that in the coming months. And this part, for certain, will cover a lot of like training and technical assistance that we do for other topics as well. But what else can we do? I think the end goal is to improve the overall security posture of our members' networks, and of course we will also try to locate the indexes, that third-party indexes that we can look into, so that we know what we are doing is actually has good success. So those are the strategic plan items. But for like 2024, we have actively planned to have like more concrete plan for this year to do things according to the strategic plan set. And we have like APNIC Academy as the main theme for the work, which cover training content curriculum. As I mentioned, we cover not just face-to-face, but also online, not just instructor-led, but also self-paced. And the licensing terms that we will use for the content that we develop will be the Creative Commons license. And we also have the Academy platform as another main foundation for all of our work. And for these two parts, we call it Academy product, and we'll have a roadmap for that. I'll talk about that later. And of course, we'll continue to do the instructor-led training, that's direct delivery. because, people need us, but we can only do it with limited resources. And we do want to have more like local partner, local hosts to help out with that, especially, sponsoring the venue, catering, et cetera, so that like we can do a little bit more. And we also would leverage, the community trainers that we have recruited. As I mentioned, even in the coming years, we'll continue to do online training as well, because like online training that can help cover more people. I also would like to highlight again that like we value feedbacks, a lot. As you can see from Lily's presentation, like we actually look at small adjustments along the way, so that like we can do continuous improvement. So like when you have any feedbacks, like after the training, please go through the survey. And if you have other feedbacks, before we have the formal new mechanism, please send your feedbacks to academy@apnic.net or training@apnic.net. Other than the training side, we also would continue to do the community support, and we support the events, we support technical assistance. I have to highlight that thanks to Foundation now, the equipment support part is more under Foundation, but we would do the training, we would do the technical assistance, I think with the aim of developing the local people, right? We would not help the community to operate their network. No, that's not our focus. We would help train the people, and then the people can operate the network by themselves. And we'll continue to do Emerald deployment. This is a collaboration with Y Project and JPRS. Bear in mind that this is not something very easy, because there's a lot of like challenges, including equipment ordering, delivery to like multiple hard to reach locations. So it's a challenge, and also like especially YPRO and JPRS people, they need to do remote support, remote installation. That's also a big challenge as well. And we'll continue to do the community HoneyNet, and that's a BOF in tomorrow. If you have interest in this, yes, please join the BOF, and Eddie is here, so yeah, he's the one to take care of that. As for the roadmaps, for the academy products, which include content, curriculum, and the platform, we will have some changes to the virtual labs. We need to, of course, this part is very, very popular, but then we need to make, have better control of the costs involved, and so we'll do adjustment to that. Hope we would not have like much impact to the users. And also, as the minimum viable product, we'll have our IPv6 certification soft launch later this year. Hopefully, with that, we can have a better idea what we would do next. And also, we'll modernize the academic platform. We'll have the planning phase, design phase, and development phase this year. This is, of course, for future-proof. Internally, we call it Academy 3.0. We have actually gone through 1.0 and 2.0 already. 1.0 is on Moodle platform, and 2.0 is on WordPress. It's a LearnDash plugin for WordPress, but it's not future-proof. We need to, use newer technology in order to, have implementation of new features, functions more easily. So that's probably it for the activity plan for this year. I want to highlight one thing we are very excited to have IETF coming to Brisbane in 2 weeks' time, and we are the locals. If you want to join, please come to Brisbane. And that's it. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Thanks, Chihu. Literally 22 seconds to go. So I'm quickly going to scoot back to this slide, which I warned you guys was going to happen. So what we're going to do is anybody, let's start off with anybody that has interacted with, let's say 2 of these. Pop your hand up. At least 2. Come on, guys. Yay, Liam. Okay, let's make it. Yeah, you count. You're counting, right? Okay. So, anyone that's interacted with 5 of these different touch points. Oh, we're getting down narrow already. Okay, there's literally 2 people in the room. Okay, let's go straight up to 8. 8 different. I can see everybody practically counting. Anyone? 8? No. Yes? Yes? 8? 7? Yeah. How many altogether? 8? 8? How about you? 8. And in the front here? 8 as well. More than 8? Anyone? Oh, everybody's got their hands up now. I'm not sure we can get the NIRs. We're not sure we can allow you to be participating, but you know, and we've got a couple of the NIRs represented here. So can I just ask the last 3 people that said that they had interacted with more than 8 different products to just stand up for a second? So the 3 of you guys, or 8 products, yeah. So I think, has anyone gone more than 8, or are we all on 8? No, okay. No, you don't count. Okay, so the guys that I just wanted to congratulate you. That's fantastic. So this is what we want. There are so many opportunities for you to interact with us, and these are just some of them. So we would love you to be more participating in the various different opportunities you have to provide us with feedback, to touch base with us. So please continue to do that. The 3 people that I had 1 prize, but I think we can actually rustle up 3. Yes. Okay. They will nodding at me. So after the session, if you'd like to wander over to the the services lounge, they are going to give you a beautiful power bank that is APNIC branded. Ta-da. So sorry, you guys missed out. So what remains for me is to say thank you to all of you, and of course a very special thanks to our technical team. They sit there tirelessly with headphones on and make sure that everything runs smoothly. So thank you very much to you guys, and a big round of applause for you, and also to my team here, my esteemed panelists, and Lily online. Thank you very much for this really enlightening presentation. And I just wish you all an enjoyable rest of the day, rest of the conference. Now you can go and have lunch. Thank you so much.
The other girls in the backseat, me in the front.